With respect to what kind of technologies that aerospace and defense industries are considering, especially with respect to sustainable aviation fuels, which produces much lesser carbon footprint for compared to a traditional or a regular aviation fuel. Secondary, the advancements into electric propulsions, where companies like Safran, Rolls-Royce, Airbus, and Collins Aerospace, etc. They are investing heavily into this area where electrification of propulsion systems can actually address a lot of problems with respect to carbon footprint for every mile or every kilometer that the aircraft covers in the sky and on the ground. And also with respect to advanced materials, for example, where there is a huge research happening on how we can reduce the overall weight. I think Mr. Menon touched upon this point. Even if you reduce 25 kgs, say considering a newer material, lighter material for aircraft seats, you actually end up reducing a lot of carbon footprint, considerable amount. And this kind of research actually is in the process. And many companies are trying to advance towards these kind of advanced materials where they are lighter and also kind of give better ROI for airlines, not compromising on their profits, but at the same time addressing the bigger problem of carbon footprint reduction. And then I think Mr. Menon also touched upon the digital tech, right? Digital tech can be looked at into various aspects. Let me touch upon what I see, especially with respect to your routing. Right, the way you route your aircraft from point A to point B has become a very advanced kind of a implementation of technologies where they are seeing what is the optimal way or route that the aircraft should take so that your carbon footprint can be reduced right from the ground operations, where how soon can we what is a better way of right from refueling the aircraft to letting the aircraft go to the runway to take off. What best practices can be adopted so that you can actually reduce the carbon footprint by burning lesser fuel, right? It can be inspection systems, it can be aircraft tugging systems, better tugging systems where you can actually help the aircraft reach till the runway in much efficient way. So a lot of these advancements are something that the companies are moving towards. Now, with respect to how they're balancing today, it's good to see that Ministry of Civil Aviation in India too is quite serious and they are taking many steps towards this. And panelists mentioned, Cochin Airport, Delhi Airport, in fact, they are moving towards this carbon net zero kind of a footprint. But how they are achieving that is, and also how they are trying to balance with respect to aerospace and defense industries, is that they're trying to see how we can increase the better fuel efficiency through controlling their operations, to optimizing their operations, and how they can do electrification, like I mentioned. And bigger aspect for especially airports is the ground support equipment, right? I mean, there are so many ground support equipments, be it trucks, buses, your tractors, your luggage carts, all these vehicles which are more diesel oriented and, kind of also contribute equally when it comes to operational carbon footprint is something that is being looked into where, maybe they are trying to replace either with a battery-based systems or with a robotic systems. But at the same time, also, charging of these vehicles, can be more directed towards solar energy, where it is abundant in our country, that can be adopted to, charge these kind of vehicles. So that's something that is being worked upon and it's already being adapted. Now, with respect to policies, I think there are definitely policies of how much you can use, for example, coming to sustainable aviation fuel. How much of the fuel can be used today? I think the policy mentions about 50%, and the target is that they want to move towards 100% by 2030. But that has challenges with respect to infrastructure, readiness with respect to producing more SAF, that is sustainable aviation fuel, with respect to how the production cost of doing that can be reduced, and also with respect to the infrastructure limitations, that is getting the sources of the sustainable aviation fuel production is another thing that needs to be worked on. And this can be a combination of better supply chain planning, and also adoption of technology for recycling, because sustainable aviation fuel comes from different sources, recyclable sources like your cooking, right from your cooking oil to some of the food waste, and how you can combine all this to reduce produce better SAF and reduce the carbon footprint. That's another area that is being looked into and worked upon. So yeah, I mean, these are some of the points that definitely will drive towards better decarbonization.